Hey guys, it's Ann. Welcome to my home worm farming channel, and today we're going to answer the question, what do you do with all those castings? So what I'm going to start off with here is I'm going to harvest the top tray here, and I'm going to put it into this screen like so, and I am going to do what you could call a water harvest. I'm going to take the finished castings, which they're not all that finished, they still have bits and pieces in them, but what I'm looking to get here is I'm going to get some good nutrients for my plants before we lose our fall spring. You know, in the Midwest, you're doing all kinds of things like that. So what I'm doing is I've taken probably about 3 or 4 cups, and now I'm just pouring the water over the top of it. This is about 3 gallons of water, and everything that is soluble is going to go through, and everything that is not soluble is going to stay on top and can go back in the bin to get finished by the worms. In a lot of cases, it's probably very true that you have this much left over that is not soluble. And we just use that as compost, like worm compost instead of worm castings. So you can see when I take my hand away, there's not very much mud kind of stuff behind, and that just means that everything has been rinsed off of these castings. So I'm gonna flip that over and show you what I've got in here. So it's about a good, it's not weak tea for sure, but it's definitely not coffee. And you still do get some solids in here, but this is just your basic worm tea. And not adding any nutrients to it, not putting a bubbler in it. This is just using straight up worm solids, worm casting solids, to make a liquid to then pour on my garden. So let's go see what the garlic is doing. All right, here we are at the garlic patch, and we're about ready to be done with our false spring and go back to winter here for a little bit. So I thought it would be nice if I could give these guys a little bit of, I don't know, encouragement to make it through the next iteration of winter, which is going to start with tornadoes and end with some snow here in central Illinois. So as you can see, I'm just dumping solo cup by solo cup here onto the garlic, making sure everybody gets some. And if we have any left, then we can go over to the cabbage and see if they would like to have some. They already got the actual castings last time, but if there's any of the liquid left, I will go ahead and give them some of that. And we have a little bit left. So let's go see what the cabbage and the kale are doing. Okay, so my poor little cabbages are gonna have to make it through some very windy weather. Oops. And they're also going to have to make it through a freeze. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to take these and cover them like that because they're little. Maybe kind of like dig that in a little bit, but I don't have to do that until tomorrow. It's still going to be warm tonight. But any kind of bucket or anything you want to put over the top of your tender little seedlings will probably be good enough. Is that a second one? Yeah, we don't need 2 cabbages at once, we just need 1. All right, well, let's go back and feed the worms. Okay, so we're just going to take this top rack off and put it to the side. It is still kind of going to be foraging, and we're going to take a look and see what the feeding layer below has got to offer. Okay, looks like we've got the pill bugs and lots of springtails going on down here. The increase in the nice weather has made them very happy Look at those beautiful red wigglers. Now just looking at this here, of course the eggshells are not going to be done. And we've got some onion tops that look like they have at least started being digested. But this looks really nice and almost finished as well. So it won't be long after that other one finishes up that we'll be able to harvest this. And once we, it's just when you get that nice warm weather, it's about 70 degrees Fahrenheit here. And 65 to 70 is definitely the sweet spot for red wigglers. And they are just going to go to town and eat and breed and be great. And these are inside worms, so for the most part, it's never going to change the temperature. Let's see the next layer below. All right, now we haven't fed this anything other than just cardboard paper, and you can tell the worms are already doing a fantabulous job. And like I said, they are breeding. I don't know if I'm gonna catch that little cocoon on camera. Right, actually 2 of them back to back. So they are definitely breeding. And you can tell there's some baby worms. Evidence that the cocoons are viable. It takes usually about under a month, about 21 days to go from being a new cocoon to being a worm in ideal conditions. The books generally say it takes about 21 days. However, if the conditions are not ideal, like it's too dry or it is too cold or even too hot, and there's another cocoon, so they are really going at it. But if the conditions are not ideal, these cocoons can stay kind of in stasis for a year. And so if you ever think that your worm bin is dead because of ABC and you don't see any worms, get it back in the right condition, get it enough moisture, add a little bit of food, and get it in the right temperature range, and give it about a month. You'll be surprised. You very might well find that you have baby worms everywhere. All right, next further down, and even though this also has not had any people food, it is looking like it is almost done here. And that might just be whatever kind of cardboard shreds I put on the system at that time. If it was more paper instead of really thick cardboard, the worms go through it a little easier, meaning that the springtails and the isopods chew up everything faster and make it more available to the little baby worms. All right, one more layer to go. Let's have a look. This is the new layer that we started last time, and they are already starting on it. Look at that, all kinds of worms. I'm gonna fluff it up here so it's not very compacted. I feel a little validated about my fluffing. Sandra had a video the other day doing actual research and dragging up the research from the real scientists, and discovered that worm piles are very much like normal compost piles. And, every, I think, what did she say? 7 weeks? 7 days, 7 weeks, 14 days? Yeah, that's what she said. Every 14 days was kind of like ideal for worms. These get fluffed about once a month, so I figure at the very least, I'm not aggravating them worse than what they should be. So they're going to continue making fabulous castings for me. Oh, here come the kittens. Who's back there? Ember, is that you? Kitty. Okay, so we're gonna feed this layer again, even though it is looking pretty done. Because we did that water harvest, I want to give that other layer a little bit of time to finish up and do its resting phase. They're gonna get a really good meal. So they're going to get banana peels, coffee, a couple bananas that did not get eaten. And then, speaking of kittens, it's been almost 20 years since I've had kittens in the house. And I forget what a huge bunch of fun they are in regards to what they do to my plants. I think Aurora is a plant hater. I think she either likes them or hates them. I can't really tell. But she does. She's attacked the wandering dude, the spider plant, the avocado. So the worms get to eat the leftovers that the cats have been unfortunately attacking. And I'm just going to put that top layer back up there. And now that I've taken some out, you can kind of see where it's a little bit more mealy, more texture, less like peanut butter, and more like coffee grounds. So I'm gonna scoop that up. See something weird going on here in the corner. I'm gonna pull it out. It looks like a bunch of the mites are taking a ride on this isopod. Now, I actually saw a program where people talk about insects and whatnot, and I've been told that it's not bothering the isopod to have all of the... Dang it, I'm bothering the isopod most likely. The isopod's not being bothered by them, they're just hitching a ride. They're not attacking the isopod. So I'm just gonna go ahead and leave them, but I did think that it would be cool for you guys to see them. I don't see that very often, if at all, but I know a lot of people worry about mites and if they have ulterior motives in the bin. And I just wanted to pass that along, that I had, if there's a group on Facebook called All Bugs Go to Kevin, and they answer questions like that all the time. Like, I saw this in my compost pile, I saw this in my plants. You take a good picture, tell them where you are, and they will give you answers about bugs. Real live etymologist or entomologist. One of them studies words, one of them studies bugs. Tell me which one it is in the comments below. If you have any questions about what I did today, or about the red wigglers or this tower system, feel free to put that in the comments below. And who have I got here? Okay, the often not seen Aurora. Yes, she's the larger of the two kittens. She is our little plant eater. All right, down you go, Chica. She's so beautiful. Yes, she is, which is why I forgive her for murdering Mommy's plants. And your uncle's plants. Yeah. The wandering dudes belong to the kid. Sorry. I don't think she's very sorry. Alright, and there is the little one. Isn't that right, Ember? Alright guys, well, thanks for hanging out with me and the worms and the plants and the cats. And everybody, have a good day.